What is up, everybody? Now that my internet is fixed, and we can actually have full speed, I don't sound like a robot and sound like shit. So we're back here this week to talk some Southside boys and talk some White Sox baseball as we're officially in the dog days of summer. We're in the middle of August. We're getting closer to the end of the season. Football is beginning. Fantasy football is underway and all of the things. So let's not waste any time. Let's get the guys in here and let's talk some more White Sox baseball. So first, Deech, what's up, bro? I appreciate it. I want to say thank you last week for taking control and everything because, internet and towers and shit, so I appreciate it.
No, it's all good, and I'm doing good. Caught a decent amount of the past week of games, so it'll be good to talk through those and then what's ahead. So
Let's do it. Let's get our third guy in here. Let's welcome Justin. What's up, Justin? How you doing?
Good, Tino. How about you?
Good. Now that I don't sound like shit and have audio and technology issues, the fact that they didn't tell me for 5 days that a tree fell on an internet tower would be fantastic to know that I wasn't crazy. I literally moved my internet box about 7 times last week and no reason for it. So, yeah. How have you guys felt? I did listen to the full podcast and everything last week and everything. So, how do you guys feel about this last week and the 2 series that we had? We obviously didn't do as good as we have done in the past, but still not as bad to watch this baseball team as it has been in the years past, especially like that game Sunday that they played. I feel like they definitely would have lost, and them scoring 5 runs, and I think it was like the 5th, was great. And the fact that they held on and was it 9-6 or whatever it was, it's good to have some of that. So Deech, how do you feel about the past week and the 2 series that we just had, and have some people come off the IL, and a lot going
on. I mean, overall, I can't be mad at either of the series. I think we got to the point where the bullpen was cashed, and the fact that they were able to, in most of these games, kind of hang in there. Well, how many of them? I think 3 or 4 of them were like 1-run loss games. So they at least are competitive. Last year, they would have got their teeth knocked in had the bullpen been, or even the starting pitching is starting to fatigue because they all are reaching their max innings they've ever pitched. I think Shane hit the 100-inning mark. I thought I saw somewhere yesterday, so can't complain.
We got also Martin Perez coming back. That was just shock. When I saw that, I did not think that, because he was supposed to be out for the year. They said he could have possibly had Tommy John surgery. So him being able to come back and him even pitching yesterday in that game, and he did give up the 1 run with bases loaded, nobody out. But we get a couple runs yesterday. We win the game with 2-3-1. So, and I did just look. The highest they lost by last week the last time they lost by 2 or more was against Seattle. So they lost like by 2 runs or less in almost every game, or they won this week. And that's the biggest thing. I mean, the fact that we're staying in the games and we're being able to compete with these teams, especially the teams that we have, like one series, like the Phillies, and even like competing and we should have won a couple other series with teams that, whatever, but it is like night and day. And the fact that I was looking at it this morning, we only have, I think, like 4 or 5 more, 4 wins, whatever it is, but it feels like it's so much better, and it's crazy. So, Justin, how do you feel about the past week? And have you been able to watch any of the games with everything going on?
Yeah, actually, so I saw Deech on Saturday. I was at the game, my first since opening day. So we had a little tailgate out in Lot B, which was lovely, of course. I don't know. I'm they got Cleveland at the wrong time. Cleveland's been playing really well. It's aggravating to lose a series to Detroit that includes a 1-0 game when you didn't get Skubal. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still incredibly frustrating how much they struggle to beat teams in the Central, because that is who you're going to have to beat moving forward. And with the exception of Minnesota, all 3 of those other teams are going to go into next season thinking they can win that division, and probably rightfully so. We'll see what happens with KC this weekend, but they already re-signed Lugo. They are clearly trying to win in this window of Bobby Witt Jr. And I mean, I get it. They're not where those teams are. Those teams are, Cleveland's always good. Detroit had their hard times. Kansas City as well. But you're going to have to get to a point where you beat up on the division a little bit more, or at least put up a more competitive record against it, because you play in the shittiest division in baseball. And I'm not, the win-loss record this year, it is what it is, and the one run losses are extremely frustrating. But I'm more on the, we could sit here and say it's all sunshine and flowers because they had a couple games and maybe they would have lost last year. But at the end of the day, it's this year when these games are being played and they're still having a really, really hard time beating the AL Central. Detroit's really good. I understand that. They were also playing very poorly coming in. And you missed Skubal. And so it just feels like they missed an opportunity at a series win there. And then you still have those games like the Friday night game against Cleveland where it's aggravating because it's over before you really even get started. And they fought back a little bit in that game. I know that they did. So I'm not going to discredit any of that. But, overall, it's fine. They're okay. It's been nice that Vargas back in the lineup is really a game changer. When you just look at the order 1 through 9, it is so much better with him there. Especially if, that means that him or Meade are playing third and we don't have to see Rojas, so you're taking out a nothing bat from the lineup. Madrid will be back soon, I'm sure. Hopefully a fun September if they stay healthy. But like Deech said, with how good the starting pitching's been this year, at least relative to where the rest of the team is at and what the record shows, you're going to hit a wall with a lot of them, which is going to impair you down the stretch and take away what's been a relative strength of the team. So, we'll see how the season ends up, but I think these taking 1 out of 3 in these series will probably be about the norm moving forward. They have a lot of the Central left, I feel like. I could be wrong with that. You get the surprises.
Left. They play Kansas City. Then they go to Atlanta, and then I think they play Minnesota twice.
I think, Minnesota's still on there a couple times, which is good. That's the team that they can actually beat. That's the team that – but, they're playing extremely well for a team that just traded their entire roster. So,
it's funny how that works,
improving against the Central. They're so lucky to play in this division. And if this core, whatever you want to call it, if they're ever going to really take the next step forward and get back into an area of contention, it starts with being able to beat the teams you play that many times a year, and teams that, with the exception of Detroit occasionally, really don't spend a ton of money. So that is where the Sox can have the upper hand. But we've been saying that forever, and they just don't go ahead and do it. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. You got to beat the fucking division. You got to beat the Tigers in Cleveland.
You got all great points and all. And that's the biggest thing. And you saw, especially when we were doing good, that reason why we were doing good was because we were beating the crap out of the division, especially that COVID year when we had those 7-inning games. I remember they were sweeping them like they was nothing for them, and they were always beating the division. And so I think that's the biggest thing with that, with the division and the games. And you're absolutely right. We need to be able to do that because even the division races right now, like the Mets and stuff, like the other divisions, there's teams that are falling and up and down, and it just all depends on how you play in those games. But the man Colston Montgomery, guys, I don't want to get too excited for him, but watching him play baseball has been so much fun, and watching him just hit the ball and just every ball go far, team go far, and watching him hit home runs and have it. The fact that he's leading almost the team. He has, I think, 3rd right now RBIs in the MLB since the All-Star break, and everything that he's doing. Are you guys falling for this? Are you guys as excited as some White Sox fans are? And Justin, I'll start with you on this one. How do you feel about Colston Montgomery and everything he's been doing?
It would be disingenuous to say anything negative right now just because of how long we really even sat on here, and it even goes back far prior to this show with that last kind of group of guys coming up, and it just felt like I was begging for them to have somebody come up and have it not be some massive adjustment period of like Robert was great in a 60-game season, out of the gate. And, I don't consider anything that happened that season real, so I mean, we'll take that with a grain of salt. But it just seemed like they had
Just
for the
jump over it.
longest time. It was like we're going to watch these guys through their growing pains in the major leagues, and Colson has a great deal of those. I mean, he strikes out. The average isn't fantastic, but I can't say anything negative because this is pretty much what we've been asking for: is the guy who comes up and is immediately like to the point where he's getting talked about on MLB Network, posted on MLB Twitter. Like people are taking note of how well he's playing. So it's exciting. I hope he keeps it up. It seems like he likes his torpedo bat. So it's exciting. It's hard not to, especially with that position too. The shortstop's so important. And no disrespect to TA or anything, but like, I mean, the way some of the plays he makes on defense is just as fun for me.
I was about to say the defense that he's been playing might be the most exciting. Like some of the double plays that he's turned has been fantastic. Where it's like before,
we had the one we talked last week about the one that he took himself and turn two that took the really late bounce on him and he stayed in front of it. He has a few that aggravate me. Where he kind of plays it off to the side and doesn't charge it. That happened the other night, but then he had that really great play in the hole the other night and threw the guy out at second to end the inning. I didn't think that he stood a chance at that play, and I'll give Sosa some credit on that too for how much we shit on his defense, and rightfully so. But the way that he ran through the bag, held his foot, that's a very tough play to make on both ends with just getting that timing down. So the defense has been great too, and that we obviously goes back to people not wanting to sign here because of the defense, and so when you are sure-handed up the middle, it goes a very, very long way. So we want to make sure we shout out the defense he's been playing too.
Yeah, and again, Sosa would be fine if he could keep his foot on the bags. We're good because his bat has been the fact that somebody said I think one of the White Sox Talk podcasts, the fact that he's only 25 years old. I was like, how old did this man start? Because I remember when he was on the team and he had the L. Garcia on his team, and I think it was Abreu celebrating after a walk-off. And it's just one of those things. It's like he's finally coming into the hitting that, like, I mean, I want Sosa to succeed, but I don't know. Deech, how do you feel about Montgomery and everything? And you've been to a few games this past week, so you've seen it live.
Yes, with Cole, I think even when he does not hit a home run, a lot of times he's making a lot of contact and barreling the ball up, which is very nice. We've been begging for power. Not that this is enough power. We need to add power, most likely through free agency, but it's been nice to see. He's over 10, what does he have, 10 or 11 now? Home runs?
10.
Yeah, 10, I think.
10.
But I mean, don't want to get to the fucking concourse, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's exciting, and everyone's been bitching for years to get a lefty power bat in the lineup to rake at the Raid, and I mean, he seems to hit him wherever he goes, but it's definitely exciting, and I cannot say any of us expected it to play out this way if you were to even look back at the beginning of this season, so things seem to be trending well. Even just having the flexibility of everyone was all concerned why they wouldn't play Teal and Caro in the same lineup. That's happening now. It'll just be fun to see them all take at bats, honestly, the rest of the season. Even with Shane Smith, they mentioned it on the broadcast yesterday. They'll probably kind of follow the same path they did with Crochet that worked really well for them last year. And they pointed out like Crochet's
what he's doing this year.
Having a hell of a season this year. Not that they're in the same exact category, but you can expect obviously an uptick in innings and probably endurance next year. So, and he's making adjustments. I think that's been the good thing regarding Shane Smith is the adjustments he's made. I think the last 2 or 3 outings, he's been pretty lights out for the most part. So,
yeah, I thought he was great yesterday. I was only able to listen, so not watching, but I like the lefty power bat specifically. And what's funny about that is when at least the Sox fans, when you hear that the prototype that you're thinking of is a Jim Thome, Adam Dunn type. But here, if you get that again, can't emphasize enough having that in your shortstop. That's not really what you. There's a. I mean, Corey Seager to a degree is kind of a unicorn. I might be giving him a little too much credit, but that's the comp that Colson keeps getting, and so shit. I I would love that, but we're not there. Obviously, I'm not by no means saying that, but he has been he's been a reason to watch, which is awesome.
Even Curtis Mead, I'll point out, not that he's hit for crazy power. He's starting to barrel the ball up, though. There was an at-bat the other night where I was watching. He kept fouling it off. I think he wound up getting out somehow, but the foul balls, he was like completely barreling the ball and just mashing it. Obviously foul, but I think that power. I've seen a few people complain about Marcus Thames. If anything, why out of every season, this season you can at least, the offense is like tolerable to watch pretty consistently. I mean, you have the off days where they just like flat out don't hit at all, but
Yeah, sure.
I mean, last year it was just every game I thought the lineup like up and down struck out at least 8 to 10 times a game. I mean, just painful at bats where
at least.
But
well,
no,
Mead's
been,
it's like
Mead's been
even
good.
like the one game they got down versus the Guardians, they came back and they don't give up on these games, and like even like you know what I mean, like I think that's been just the biggest thing. And honestly, I think for all of it too, it just proves how bad last year really was. Like the fact that I was thinking about, like the fact that we came here, they were talking about the fact we had a 21 game losing streak, which means we came here for 3 weeks straight talking about losses. Like that's insane. And like the Rockies we'll see what happens. Hopefully they keep losing. But I think somebody said earlier the longest losing streak that they went on was 8 games this year. And I mean, yes, that's a lot. But I mean, compared to 21, that's just, And I mean, that's the biggest thing is like watching these games and like realizing like they can come back and it's not over. I mean, it's never over because I mean, we saw the one game that they won. The Tigers almost came back. I was biting my fingernails. I swear to God. I was like, I can't do this. But I mean, that's the biggest thing I think for at least me, like watching them every day, is seeing them go out there and like even like me, like him having the couple at bats and the one day I think this past week they saw like 186 pitches. Last year, it probably would have taken 2 games for the team to do that. And I think that's at least for me like the biggest thing. The pitching though, we were talking about pitching. Mr. Jonathan Cannon got sent down to AAA after he is completely just I don't know, fallen off or struggled, and he has kind of had his up and downs and everything. Deech, do you think him going back to Charlotte is a good thing? Do you think him staying down there longer? Do you think we see him again this year? And what's your thoughts on them sending Cannon down? And we'll talk about Gomez, right? That was his name that pitched on Tuesday?
Yeah. So with Cannon, ever since he came back from the IL, which I think was something to do with he tweaked his back, he's not consistent at all and tends to get lit up in an inning during his start rather early in the start, where he can sit there and then go for a couple more innings and eat the innings. But if you've given up, even in Charlotte, his first start down there, he had 5 earned runs, I think.
Yeah, I'm about to say that too. Yeah, he didn't like do any better.
I would probably just leave him in the minors to stew on it and figure it out. Or if it's a matter of he's still kind of hurt, put him on the shelf and let him heal up for next year and then let him compete in spring training. That's what it's going to. There's probably one spot that you're going to have Thorpe, Cannon.
Thorpe is now traveling with the team too. I don't know if you guys did see that this past week. That
yeah, there was a picture that came out a couple weeks ago with him with the other guys.
Really? I guess he's been there for a while then.
But yeah, well, with that Yoendrys Gomez who pitched on Tuesday, I think he had 7 strikeouts. I just think it's cool to point out, at least on the pitching side, they seem to be very good at picking out guys off of the waiver wire or whatever that they see something in that they can use as an asset to make them a better player. I mean, this guy bounced around. I think he was on 2 or 3 different teams. Did not have.
They said he'd been DFA'd twice this year.
Yeah. So I mean, to be able to have him come up. I don't know how much notice he was given, but to come in there and pitch like that, I was thoroughly impressed. And you saw it wasn't just he got lucky. There appears to be some actual nasty stuff with some of his pitches. I'm hoping they kind of just ride him out if they need to at this point, whether Perez slides in, but they're going to need people to eat innings. So even if he's not a starter, if this guy can come in and throw 3 innings, like similar to what Vassell or Alexander does, we're going to need that with the young pitchers that we have. So it'll be nice to see how that
Shout out to Alexander
goes.
too, because the game that earlier this week he pitched like 5 innings. Was it 4 or 5 innings to help save the bullpen because we got. I think it was it the Friday night? Was it because we won Sunday? I think it was Saturday. But yeah, shout out to Alexander because he came out of nowhere too. I didn't even realize because wasn't he on like the Diamondbacks or something at one point?
He was on the Brewers.
Oh, was it? We should have just made a trade from the Brewers, you know, because we got somebody made a comment too about Shane Smith. I was like, that's right, Shane was on the Brewers too. I was like, we kind of, you know. They just love dealing with the Brewers. And did you guys also see I was talking about the weather and why my internet sucked last week. Did you guys see how bad the Brewers Stadium got flooded and how like people's cars were like underwater and people were climbing through the sunroofs?
Yeah, that was crazy. Raining through the roof at the stadium.
Yeah, I was like, that's not fun. Well, yeah, Jonathan Cannon, we'll have to see. Justin, what do you think about Cannon and everything and how like him being in Charlotte and everything? Do you agree? Just keep him in Charlotte.
I think that if he's in the rotation, I'm almost 100% sure this is going to be the same exact thing I said last week. If he's in the rotation next year, they did nothing to improve the rotation, which would be a crime and a shame, because you're just dialing up for another 100-loss season because they didn't try to improve the team. So, if they call him back up in September and want to see if he got his mechanics figured out in the minors, again, if the numbers aren't there in AAA, I doubt they're going to be there in the bigs. But we talked about, we kind of laid out next year's rotation on the pod last week, and I just think that if Cannon is in it, if they don't sign a legitimate starter, you're basically just saying, hey, this is just going to be another year of look at the progress. You know, like imagine this team last year. It's going to be the same garbage that we're on here talking about right now. Like
now, let me ask you.
Next year it's going to be next year it's going to be, well, this team's not even going to lose 100 games. Imagine this up against where they were last year, and like the baby steps. Eventually, they got to take the training wheels off. So with John Cannon, if he really figures it out, that's fine. But I haven't seen anything from him that leads me to believe that he is a rotation asset moving forward. Whatever they want to do with him the rest of this year is whatever. Again, if you want to get him a few more major league appearances in September and really see and evaluate going into the offseason. But if I've seen enough, I would hope the decision makers have seen enough. But it doesn't always go that way around here, so hard to say.
Now, let me ask you this. If they went the approach of, because when Kansas City signed Seth Lugo, wasn't it a 1-year deal and then they extended him?
Yeah, they extended him. Yeah.
Now, I don't think they're going to go like buck wild in free agency and go ink some starter for like crazy money. But if they did a similar move to like Seth Lugo, is that what you'd be looking for? Or do you want them to like really buck up for a pitcher?
Oh, I mean, I'm not naive enough to think that they're ever going to pay for a top of the line starting pitcher on the market. They don't even pay their own starting pitchers when they come due for money. They just trade them. So no,
you're not wrong.
That is what I'm looking for, though. But that, sign a second or third guy for the rotation. That, and more than anything, man, I just think it's the message you're sending of we're trying to win. I really think that can have an impact on the clubhouse. This is a total tangent, but like Eugenio Suarez hasn't done anything since Seattle traded for him. He's been terrible. They have been on an absolute tear because the message came from top to bottom. We believe in this group. we're legitimately trying to win this year. We're trying to have this be their first playoff run in this fucking century. And the belief is there. And then when you punt and talk about 2032, you have what's happening on the other side of town. I truly believe that is a thing in the clubhouse on both of those ends of the spectrum of when you know that ownership front office is bought in on that group. And I think that could, something as simple as adding a few legitimate pieces next year. I'm not even talking about going and breaking the bank for the biggest names on the market, but something where you're showing belief in the rest of the guys who are already there by saying, we're going to supplement you with this talent because we think that's what takes us to the next level. I'm sure all those guys love Cannon. I know that team's close. I'm sure the pitchers are really close. But they have to know in their hearts, you can look at this team that's going to lose 110 plus games. And what is it telling them when the front office just runs it back next season? They know what they are. So I got off on a way big tangent there, but that's
got some good points though. Everything you've said so far today is you're absolutely right on everything, and because that's the biggest thing, and how long until we can actually celebrate winning?
Exactly.
And
it's
not
nice. It's been a feel good that they're not going to be the worst team in the league this year. They're still going to be the worst team in the AL. They're exciting players to watch. I am not complaining. I have enjoyed watching them for the vast majority of the past couple of months. But once the season ends, it's a completely different story. I don't want to watch this exact same team again next year. Do some shit Rick Hahn would have never done. Move some of these guys who are playing this year to go get a more complimentary team. If that's probably more next off season. That's when you're actually trying to become a playoff team. But that's where I'm at.
Well, and that's where I think you can't just go and sign 1-year deals across the board to complete this roster next year.
Right.
Invest in the team by saying, we're going out and signing so-and-so. I'm not even going to throw out a name, but to a 2 or 3 year deal because we believe in the next 3 years we will contend at some point. But this stupid shit of every year just signing guys and some of the signings have been great, like Michael A. Taylor, you've done exactly what you were brought here for, so I can applaud that. But
yeah, absolutely.
The side of we do want to see them compete and win in the near future, hopefully. I'm not saying necessarily next year, but the next couple of years, you would hope. There needs to be more investment, and like you said, it will change the mindset of the players. Okay, they truly do believe in us, because just saying it probably gets old after a while. I mean, Will Venable can only motivate them so much, is really what it comes down to. And they themselves can only motivate themselves to a degree. If
what they need? They need a Khalil Mack trade. Something like that. They need somebody I remember when Bears got Khalil Mack. That felt like they were going for it, and they tried and saw the 2018 season went. But that's the type of, I don't know if they'll get that big of a player, but I just, that's the type
baseball's a lot harder to pull that off. I mean, maybe not harder, but you can't trade the draft picks, so you can't.
That would make it so much easier.
You could trade. You have prospects. That's the difference. But you're just more attached to guys you already have than picks, which is what makes what the Bears did for Khalil Mack. I mean, again, an edge rusher too. It's hard to find a comp for that in baseball. But I see where you're at, though. I mean, it's a statement. That's what. Yeah. But I think they're a year away from that. That's what I'm saying. Next offseason is when you take a good, honest look at it and say, okay, even if this player's been nice, we've liked having him around here. Can we move him and get better elsewhere, and complete the team? Which is where they really just crumbled the last go around. But yeah, this offseason, it's more of Deech said, you got to move off these 1-year bullshit deals. Bring in real professional players, which they did this year. I've loved Taylor. I love Talkman. But, they both could bring a little bit more to the table. Offense. I mean, Talkman can't run.
No. Every time he rounds 30, tears a fucking quad or a hamstring. But, Justin, it is 5:30. I know you got to go, so I appreciate all of your great knowledge as usual. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, boys. Good luck with the rest of the show, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Peace.
And he mentioned that and everything, Deech. What do you think about Luis Robert and everything that he's been doing since? And do you think he is somebody? I mean, he said that he wants to stay and everything, but like, do you think he is somebody in that case that like we could possibly see them move to maybe get other pieces that like, because everybody was talking at the trade deadline, they wanted a dude from the Mets, but it's like I don't know. What do you think? And do you think Robert should stay here? Do you think he should be like the Jose Altuve? What do you think we do about La Pantera?
I don't know what they're going to do, to be completely honest with you. I mean, a $20 million option is $20 million. I have no issue if they decide to pick it up next year, but like that can't be like we spent all of our free agency money. Like that's, I mean, it's a completely separate category. If you want to ride him out, and even if you are looking to trade him, I don't know that the remainder of this season is enough time for a team to see the value that they're looking for in return, because teams are going to be skeptical of his injury history, his inconsistencies. He still, some at bats pisses me the fuck off. I mean, he'll just swing at like sliders that are out of the zone and stuff. So I don't know. I can't say. I mean, it's been good to see him playing better. I'm not even necessarily looking for power out of him. Just get on base and be disruptive, which like when he gets on, steals a base, that puts pressure on the pitcher. We tend to score a lot of times when he gets on. So
yeah, that's been the thing. That's been the thing too with it. It seems like they've been doing a lot, not great, but they're doing better with runners in scoring position. It's always been a problem, but it seems like they at least get at least a run. They can get the contact. And for a long time, how many times do we see bases loaded, nobody out? Let's just strike out 2 times, and then we hit the fly ball. And it's like that's the biggest thing. And like I said earlier, the one game they saw 186 pitches. I could not say the last time a White Sox baseball team saw that many pitches in a baseball game. And it was just insane. And that's been the thing, too, them walking and them taking pitches and them having these at-bats. And like you said with Robert, like yesterday, he came up in the 9th inning and swung at 3 pitches outside of the zone and was like, okay, well, back to the bench. And it gives me the Moncada vibes when Moncada would walk back and then put his head up in the air. And it's just like, oh, my God, please stop. And, that's the biggest thing because especially the way our pitching was, because Shane didn't even give up any of the runs. It was Martin. He gave up the 1 run when he came in, and that was it. And it just, if the pitching can continue to do what they do, they just need some offense. And we see what happens when we score 8, 7, 8, 9 runs. They, for the most part, win. And, yeah, I don't know. And that's the same way I feel about Robert. It's like I don't want him to go, but, like, at this point, like, just get rid of him and let's just see what we can get. And if there's somebody that will take him and maybe we get some major league player that, I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. They'd have to pick up his option to trade him, I'm pretty sure. So that would mean to get anything for him, some team is going to need to want to eat that money, or the Sox need to be willing to pay some of it. I really don't know how it'll play out. Because if he can't get you enough, you might as well just sit there and just pay him $2 million to go away.
Well, I mean,
because it's either the $20 million option or you can decline it and pay him $2 million.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with it, where it's just like I don't know. They're just going to have to make the decision and go with whatever it is and go from there. Because, I mean, Chris Getz has said it. I think he said it in one of the interviews that he wants to spend money and everything. But until they actually do it, I don't want to get too excited. Because you can say whatever the hell you want. But until you actually do it, then, And like Justin said, like if we wake up and we get a notification that the White Sox sign, I saw a free agent, Merrill Kelly, whatever the hell. Like, that's something that will get me excited. But I want to go to opening day. I want to see this guy pitch. I don't know how well it will go, but we'll see how, and that's the biggest thing, because it can completely, change the rotation and the way the feel. And, I mean, we saw when we faced Seattle, Suarez did absolutely nothing, but having him in the lineup just shows, how much, deadly that lineup is with everybody else that they have. And it just shows, like he said, like it's showing the Seattle fans that they are buying in and trying to win at least.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I don't hate Josh Naylor as much on Seattle. Maybe it's just because he was on the Guardians and he's cradling babies and shit. I don't know. But we do still have games this week. Another week of White Sox baseball. You said we play the Royals this weekend and then the Braves next week. They do have a couple off days in between. They're off today, Monday, and Thursday again next week. And then they'll probably go on another long streak. How do you feel about the Royals series? Let's start off with that. Are we in Kansas City or are we at home still?
They're in Kansas City.
Right.
Let me take a look here at the pitching matchups.
I'm usually good on that.
Tomorrow's Savali versus Noah Cameron. And then Saturday is Burke versus Michael Lorenzen. And then Sunday is Davis Martin versus Ryan Burgett. I'm going to say in Kansas City just to break or at least start this narrative that we can compete in the divisional games. They're going to take 2 out of 3 in Kansas City.
Man, we need to, you know what? We just need to get rid of the voodoo in Kansas City because I don't know what the fuck it is about Kauffman Stadium, but these guys go in there and they like, oh, it's like Patrick when he's freaking with the two superhero guys. I forgot what their names are. And he's like, duh. It's like, can we just like figure it out? And like, I think that's the biggest thing. And obviously, Royals are not doing what, everybody expected them to do. And again, I tried to explain this to a lot of people. I don't know if anybody seems to forget. The reason why there was 3 teams that made the the playoffs last year was because they played the White Sox, and the White Sox lost 121 games. You're not going to make 3 teams ain't going to make the playoffs unless that happens again. Because, I remember in the beginning of the year, everybody was all this and that about all 3 teams. And that was like literally everybody, like, I think we had 1 win against the Royals last year. Yeah, 1 win against both the Royals and Tigers. I think we could definitely win 2 out of 3, but I think sadly we're gonna keep the 1 out of 3 thing going, and that's been the biggest thing. It's like, especially like the game against the Guardians, I was like, oh no, here we go, we're gonna get swept, especially after Friday, because Friday's that feel good game always. It's like we got the jerseys, we got this, that, Friday Night Lights, all, and then I was like, oh no, but they came out on Sunday and they competed and they played and watching them score in bunches is fun. I love watching that, and that's been like. The thing too is why, like, even Edgar, like that slick home run swing and whatever the hell he did, and looking at those are the types of players that I just love watching. And the fact that I love the fact that the Angels gave him up for 2 months, 3 months of Giolito and Lopez is still mind-boggling to me. And obviously, you don't know what these guys are going to be, but I feel like the Angels are. Yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna say 1 out of 3 with the Royals because that's how I always feel about them, and I have too much PTSD with this freaking thing, especially in that. But I don't know what it is about the stadium. Maybe they get confused about the waterfall in the back. Have you ever been to the Royal Stadium?
No, I have not. I've heard it's nice though.
It is. I haven't been there either, but that's what I've heard too. I really would like to go. I've always wanted to try to go to at least every stadium in the division because they're obviously not too far away. But that is one on the top of the list because yeah. So I'm gonna say 1 out of 3 against the Royals, and then we go back to the NL. And I don't know about you, but this year it seems like they ain't playing too bad against the NL. They took the series against the Phillies. Obviously, the Cubs are the Cubs, but. I mean, I think the Cubs have their one last thing, and that's wait, we play a 4-game series against these guys. Yeah, we do.
I don't.
No, wait, no,
I thought it was 3 and 3.
No, it is 3. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong day. My phone decided it was going to go to the end of August. I was like, wait, because I was trying to find the pitching matchups for this week. So they don't have them. I'm assuming one of them will be Gomez, probably a bullpen day like they did where they like put something together, and maybe
the other one will be Shane.
Yeah, and then Shane will be on Wednesday or Tuesday, and then Wednesday will probably be Savali. Okay, shall be interesting to see what they do with Martin Perez. I think he probably will be that long relief guy for the rest of the year. I don't know. I don't think he'll go into the rotation, but shall be interesting. The one thing I did not know is looking at this, I did not realize the Braves were 52-68. I thought they were way better than that. I kind of feel a little bit better, and maybe they have a shot next week. I'll say they take 2 out of 3 against the Braves. Can you agree with that, or do you think?
I'm going to be bold. They're going to sweep the Braves. You heard it here first.
They're going to get that revenge.
Just keep that on record, everyone. You heard it here first. We're going to sweep Atlanta.
I say it all the time, bro. I said it, and I know you don't watch wrestling. I know I always bring wrestling into this, but I said it last couple weeks ago, SummerSlam. I said something about Seth Rollins faking an injury, this and that. I said something about Brock, and they both happened. You got to say it because you never know what the hell's going to happen. And, hey, we got it on recording now. We'll see what happens next week, though. But that is the week ahead. We'll have to see where it goes, what happens and everything. They do have the off day today. They're going to Kansas City. Hopefully they get there safe. And everybody is good, and we'll have to see, obviously, if anybody comes off the IL and gets DFA'd, and please get Joshua Haas off the baseball team and keep him in KC. Just send him to the Royals. That's what they should do. And then bring up, yeah. Anything else, though, you want to talk about now that we're in the dog days of summer? Where did this season go, man? I don't know if it's because we're playing better baseball, but I feel like the season has just been so much faster than the last few years, especially after last year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, last year just dragged out.
I mean, like I said, the fact that Chuck said that we wanted a 20-game losing streak, I forgot that it was 3 straight weeks of us losing. That was so sad.
It's very rare this season that I go multiple days without watching a White Sox game, which was not the case last year. Towards the end of the season last year, it kind of turned into, I might turn in once or twice a week, but it's kind of getting repetitive at this point. So it's exciting with all the young bats up. You're pretty much, it's all young guys now, pretty in the lineup,
and
other than
the game that
Taylor and Talkman.
Tigers. Yeah. And the game against the Tigers might have been the best lineup that we have had all season. And that's the thing. It's like, I finally feel like we're not going to have these Joshua Palacios and the this and the that guys. Like, we know who's going to be in the lineup. And hopefully within a year or a year and a half, we have a stable lineup that they could just put out every day. And everybody has their spot. And we'll see how that goes. But Kansas City and Atlanta. Anything else this week you want to talk about before I do the outro?
Oh, man. All good.
I appreciate it. Thank you to Justin with all of his great knowledge for 30 minutes. Went on a couple tangents, but guys, appreciate you as always coming and hanging out here. Remember to go follow all the social medias, all that good stuff. Make sure that you go follow the OTM guys, the Main Event Network crew. I'll be live this weekend over there. We'll be live over here tomorrow for Friday Night SmackDown. Come and hang out as we watch another Friday Night SmackDown. Drew McIntyre coming for Cody Rhodes. John Cena and R-Truth, I guess, are the same people, and we'll see what else goes down. Saturday, we'll be here for WWE 2K25 as we're going to be playing some games and facing their younger selves. On Sunday, though, I'm at Mick Foley, Devon Dudley, and Sting. So come and hang out as I show you my full experience at Madison Con, Maddox Comic-Con, all that good stuff. But, guys, appreciate you as always. Make sure you hit that like button here. Subscribe on the road to 100. Turn that notification button on. So when we go live next, it'll be the same time, same place, 5 o'clock next Thursday. Guys, have a great week, and we'll see you then.